I'm so excited over this bumper. This is the Barricade HD2 rear steel bumper for the 3rd generation Toyota Tacoma. It's an upgrade over the previous version. The previous version did not have cutouts for the license plate lights. It actually had a cutout right here, and you had to wire into the trailer switch just to have license plate lights with that version. And I can tell you that I am very pleased with this bumper. It is hard as a rock. It sticks out more than the stock bumper, and it gives you additional protection both on and off the road. A few years ago, I used to live in Houston, Texas, and I had a mid-sized truck back then with a steel bumper. I was involved with a traffic accident on the interstate. The car behind me essentially rear-ended me. The truck was fine because of the steel bumper, but his whole front end was tore up. It really got me thinking about protection on a rear end. I've been wanting rear pod lights in the rear for a while now. This was an opportunity to get both. But this thing is hard as a rock. Completely steel. I tell you, I'm really feeling protected with this thing on the back end. Let's take a look at these lights and see what they look like at night. I wired it up to my aux beam switch panel. And as you can see, these pod lights are extremely bright. They are Lasfit POD Lights, 3-inch, and they are the same pod lights I have installed as my ditch lights. It's got a aluminum housing with a heat sink. It's got a 5610K light output, and it's got outstanding clarity. One thing I did have to do with the trailer hitch wiring is I had to get an extension. I'll be sure to put that in a link down below. Let's get this installed. What do you say? You're going to need a ratchet with an extension, 10-12 millimeter socket, impact wrench, 19 millimeter impact socket, 10-18 millimeter wrench, long flathead screwdriver, a medium flathead screwdriver, a U-shaped trim removal tool, and a rubber mallet. And I recommend a creeper, some strength, a friend, and a cold drink. Alright, let's unbox this. So I got this from Extreme Terrain, and it was shipped by FedEx, and it's a very large box. Now, these are the brackets that you'll use if you don't have a trailer hitch to install the bumper. These are the sensor plugs that you can use if you don't have sensors on the rear of your Tacoma. These are the mesh panels if you don't want to install pod lights. And here is the massive steel bumper. And I had to get this extension to be able to use my trailer hitch wiring. Let's go ahead and open this up, and I'll put a link to this down in the description below. It just would not reach. Let's get this installed. First step, remove your license plate. Next, remove the trailer hitch wiring harness. Just push on the top and pull back. Next, unplug the license plate lights. If you have them, go ahead and unplug the blind spot monitor sensors. Let's get the other side. This is where having tiny hands is critical. Okay, unplug this wiring harness that goes to the bumper. Take a screwdriver, push up the bottom end, and pull out. Time to remove our license plate lights. And we'll transfer them over to the other bumper. Essentially, you got to push on those tabs on the sides and then just wiggle it out. Next, take a U-shaped trim removal tool and remove these clips. Just get it under there and pop them out. Get the other side. Just get it under there and pop them out. And we got one that was hiding behind the license plate. Same thing, just get it under there and pull out. There we go. Now we need to remove this plastic part that's on top of the bumper. Just take a trim removal tool and pop it out. Now we need to remove this bolt, and that bolt. And the same for the other side. And we have two there on the step part of the bumper that we'll have to remove. And this takes a 12 millimeter socket. We have 4 underneath as well. You have to remove the extension to get under there. Right, now the other side. Right, now we need to remove the ones underneath. Now the other side. Now let's remove the ones over the step. Remove the bumper. Just pull out. While we have our license plate lights out, let's go ahead and replace the halogen bulbs with LEDs. Just pull out and push in the new ones. Then to put back in, just pop in and twist. That's a little better with light, isn't it? Alright, now let's install the license plate lights into the new bumper. We're going to need a rubber mallet for this. Just tap it until it pops in. The other side. Alright, now we need to take our license plate wiring harness off the old bumper, and we're going to install it on the new one. Just take a pair of pliers, squeeze and pull out. And simply just plug them into the license plate lights. These are the mesh panels if you're not going to install pod lights. They just bolt on. But we are going to install pod lights. So let's unbox the Lasfit 3-inch pod lights. Mounting bracket. Here's the pod light. So take your bolt, put it through the mounting bracket, then put a washer and put your nut on the other side, just so you don't lose it. Right, you're going to take a lock washer, then the groove washer, and then the other washer, and you're going to just mount it through there and just screw it in just to get it started. Then repeat on the other side. Alright, let's mount this onto the bumper. Alright, so take those nuts off in the washer and then push it up through the slot there. Then you'll place a washer and then that nut on the other end. And just get it started. We'll tighten it up in a minute. Alright, other side. Washer, then nuts. Alright, let's tighten everything up. This will take a 10mm wrench. And the sides you can use an Allen key. So since I don't have the blind spot monitors or the parking sensors, I'm just going to use the provided plugs and just plug in the holes with it. That's what they look like. Otherwise, this would be a great time to plug in your sensors for your parking sensors, blind spot monitors, and that sort of thing. So if you're like me, just push in and plug it in. Alright, now let's just go ahead and put in our trailer hitch plug, and it just snaps in. While we have this off, let's go ahead and put in our license plate plugs. Just push in, they snap in. Alright, so for now we're going to leave that wiring harness there and then we'll zip tie it up when we get it installed. So let's go ahead and install the bumper. Grab a friend for this. So a couple of things to note with this version of the Barricade rear bumper. This is the HD2. The previous version, the HD, is a little different. It did not have cutouts for your OEM license plate lights. The other major difference is when mounting it. On the previous version, from what I've seen, you have to place it inside the grooves on the tail hitch. and I'll show you underneath here in a second. But this one you have to go outside, and there is a tab over here and a tab over there, and they have to go outside. So what I would do is when you put it on, the main metal tabs that are inside, make sure they're on the outside of the hitch. And when they're outside, I would start out from the bottom, have it angled out towards you with a friend. Don't try to do this alone, it's too difficult. But tilt up, and then once you have it on the edge, and then just wiggle it in. That seems the best way to get this bumper on. So now that that's said, I'll show you where that is down here inside for those tabs, those metal tabs where you need to have it, what it looks like. And then we'll bolt this on. Let's get to it. So you can see, this is the frame of the truck. It must go outside. The previous version wanted you to just sit it up here. Now, if you do not have trailer hitch, you're going to have to use those brackets that came with the kit. And from what I understand, it's right here with these bolts here. You're going to want to get the bolt. It'll be a small washer. Push it through. Then there'll be a large washer. And then the nylon nut will go on top. And we're just going to get this started for right now. Top one is a little different. It is a large washer. Push it through. And another large washer. And a nut. And we're just getting this started. Now this one you'll have to use a regular ratchet on, not an impact. You just don't have enough room. You'll have to push up some. Here we go. Then a washer and nut on the other side. Just get it started. All right, let's go get the other side done. And then we'll come back and tighten everything up. So bolt, small washer, then large washer, then nut on these bottom ones. If this one's different, it's bolt, large washer, then nut. We'll have to push up. There it goes. And on the other side, now let's tighten everything up. So this down here will be 18 millimeter. You want a 19 millimeter open wrench on the other side to hold the nut in place. I don't know why, but I love the sound of an impact wrench. Now up here you'll have to use a regular ratchet and electric ratchet. There's just not enough room for an impact. Let's go tighten up the other side. There's more than one way to skin a cat. No offense to cats. Let's plug our wiring harness back in. Let's zip tie all this up. So the OEM trailer switch just was not reached. I had to get an extension. But you simply plug it in and then plug it into the outlet there. And then just zip tie all that up. Get it nice, neat, and tidy under there. All right, let's place our covers over our sensors. Since we don't have any, let's put our license plate back on. All right, so our next step is we are going to wire up our pod lights to the front. Okay, first step, we'll attach our extensions to the rear pod lights. Then we'll cut off the positive and negative wires to the pod lights from the relay and discard the relay. And then we'll wire it up into our aux beam switch assembly. Essentially combine the positive wires and the negative wires and plug it into the slots and tighten it up. And then next we'll drop those wires down into the wheel well. Then we'll pull it out. And then we'll take a U-shaped trim removal tool and unplug the pins here and then wrap it around the wheel well. And then zip tie is necessary coming down through here. So now we're going to zip tie it up coming down the frame. And there's some wires running up and down through there. You can easily just zip tie it to those. And then attach the extensions up to the front ones and zip tie those up. Let's remove our sticker and place the appropriate sticker here on the switch panel. Now let's test it out. Oh yeah, those are bright. That looks awesome. Yeah, I'm really liking this. This looks great. Nice. There's our license plate lights and the rear lights turned on. That looks awesome. Absolutely, that looks great. Hard as a rock. Yes sir, that's what I'm talking about. Thanks for joining me on this video. If you like this video, consider subscribing, sharing, liking, and hitting that notification bell. And be sure to check my next video. I think you'll like it. We'll see you next time.